You're not bad at reading music. You're just missing one of these 5 skills. And each of these skills are developed over the length of your music career. You're never going to feel like you completely mastered them, but I hope the way I will approach this with you is something that is new and unique and will help things click, because I've never had an educator teach music reading in this way to me, and so I can't wait to teach it to you. And so the ink on the page will be less overwhelming and things will start to make sense. So let's go ahead and dive into skill number 1, and that is the blank page. The blank page for musicians has 5 lines and 4 spaces at its foundation. When we have music, we read this way from left to right. So we have 1, 2, and we'd keep reading the music until we reach the end. Now, if music was just a long stream of notes, it would get very overwhelming very fast, because we'd have note number 1 and then note number 100 and whatever. And so in order to make this easier for the brain to consume, to understand, we actually have lines that separate notes. And so, for example, this would be called a bar line. So this bar line separates the ideas of reading. And so we'd have this section and this section. We could have 2 in each section. We could have 3 notes in each section. It just depends. But how do we know how many notes are in each little area, each idea? Well, we have this wonderful way of showing us at the very beginning of a piece. So for example, if I had a 4 there, you'd be thinking, oh, I'm going to have 4 notes, 4 spaces in that measure. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, right now, there's also going to be a bottom number, but we're not going to worry about that. That's not important. And so we're going to think 1, 2, 3, 4. What if it was a 3? What would we be thinking? We'd be thinking 3. 1, 2, 3. There would still be 4 there, but I'm just moving it over. And so that's the foundation of understanding the blank page. Skill number 2 is like a book. Unfortunately, music just doesn't have candy all over the page. You actually have to read in a specific way. So let's understand more of what the page will look like. But for example, like a book means we're still going to read it left to right, but we're reading rhythm. This is very important on how we read rhythm. So for example, if I wanted a note there, it would look like this. And say I wanted a note there too. So now I have bam, bam, hit, hit, 1, 2. But what tells me that it's going to be 2? Notice how our bottom number stays 4. But what if I have silence? This is telling me to play. What if I have something that's telling me not to play? That would be a way to show silence. And say I do a hit for the last one. This would go dot, dot, dot. 1, 2, 2. That's how you would read the rhythm for that. But for the spacing, we can make it even more challenging. I can show you something like this. That would mean we're actually hitting twice in that space. So that would be da, 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 da. I approach this in many different ways. You can think about this with like food. So it'd be pear, apple, pear, or an idea called ta, titi, ta, ti, ti, ta. There are different ways you can think of this, but at the end of the day, it's all the same. The idea of hitting twice in one space and hitting once. Ba, 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 ba. So when we talk about notes and beats and rhythm, we have notes that last for 1 beat, but actually we have notes that are longer as well. And so for example, I could have a note that lasts for 2 beats. So this would last for 1, 2. And so if I had 2 next to them, if I'm thinking in 4, it would look like this. So that would be 1, 2, 3, 4. That would last for 2 beats long, so you'd be thinking about length. Da, da, 1, 2, 3, 4. But thinking of that speed is extremely important and challenging at the beginner stages, I'm not gonna lie. But we also have a note that can last a entire 4 beats. That's called a whole note. 1, 2, 3, 4. One, two, three, four. If I was to play something rhythmic, I'd really just hit on the very beginning. But if I was to play something that lasts longer, like a wind instrument, or even sing, I'd last the entire time without cutting it off. 2 beats long right there. 1, 2. 2 beats of nothing. 3, 4. Looks like a little hat. It's very important to remember where that line, where that little black rectangle is. And this is silence for the entire 4 beats. 1, 2, 3, 4. That'd be silent. Nothing would happen. But notice that this now has the line and the black rectangle underneath, like a hole, like you're falling into a hole. 1, 2, 3, 4. All of these are 4 beats long, just different ways at looking at notes that are longer. This is the beginning of what we call a rhythm tree. It does get more complicated as we keep going, but especially as for a beginner, this is as far as you need to know for now. Each of these lasts 4 beats long. That's 4 beats long if you were to hold it out. 1, 2, 3, 4. These are 4 beats long to connected, but each one lasts for 2 beats. Each one here lasts for 1 beat. Each of these are inside of 1 beat. T, 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 T. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And these are the basic components of understanding the skill of reading rhythm left to right like a book. Skill number 3 is highs and lows. We have 5 lines and 4 spaces. That is extremely important to remember. Now, each space in treble clef belongs to a specific note. And so we're going to think of one word to understand the spaces, and that is the word face. F-A-C-E, face. F-A-C-E, which means if I have a note that lands on that space, it will be the note C, the note F, the note E. Now it's important to know where this note is on your instrument, but this is the idea that if you have it on one of these spaces, it is going to be one of those notes. For the notes of the 5 lines in treble clef, we use a phrase, and that phrase is every good boy does fine. Every good boy does fine. It's very important to remember and realize that back and forth as we go up, it is E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E, F. It just goes up like a little ladder. And so realize that the musical alphabet actually ends at G. It doesn't go any farther. A, B, C, D, E, F, G. There's no H, there's no I, etc. So it's very important to remember where these lines and spaces are. So when you read up and down, your goal is to quickly be able to understand what note you're supposed to play on your instrument. This would be the note F. This would be the note A. That would be the note G. That would be the note E and the note D. Now what about bass clef? We're talking about the lower side of the piano, of the marimba. We're talking timpani. We're talking about the tubas. We're talking about low singers in a choir. This is bass clef, and each line and space are different from those in treble clef. The phrase we use for the spaces in bass clef are all cows eat grass. A, C, E, G. Same idea here is if there's a note on the space, it belongs to that note on the instrument, but it will be a low note and not a high sounding note. Very important to know where that lies. And the lines of bass clef are good burritos don't fall apart, because if you have a good burrito, then you know you don't want that thing falling apart on you. Good burritos don't fall apart. G, B, D, F, A. Same ladder idea from treble clef. G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A. So now here's something I want to point out to you. If you have yourself wondering about the other clef, the brother and sister of your own clef or your own instrument that you're starting on, then understanding that for bass clef, the A is on the very bottom space all cows eat grass. That might help you realize at least ACE, ace, is here, but ace is up there for treble clef. Face, ace. So you're realizing, oh, where's the ace? Where's the ace in the entirety of it? And then understanding from there might help you pick apart the notes in the unfamiliar clef that is its brother or sister clef. For level 5, we have read the fine print. Now this is the extra things on top of it. So realize that we haven't looked at anything this complex so far. So let's break it down a little bit. This one's just rhythm because we have no melodic idea up here. So this is treble clef, which means we're going to be playing a melody. So we're thinking about pitch. We're reading left, right, and up and down, the peanut butter and jelly concept. But here we just have rhythm. So we're just reading left and right, just that way. And so we have how many beats in a little idea? 4. And so we have 1, 2, 3, 4. That's 2 beats. Last all 4 beats. 1, 2, 3, 4. Then we have a change. We have a 3, 4 change, which means 3 beats. 1, 2, 3. Silence on 2 and 3. But on the bottom we have treble clef, which means we have to think about multiple things. Realize that a musician will think of all this at the exact same time. It will happen really quickly, but over time we're going to develop that speed. And so here, how many beats we have? 2. So 2 in each little idea. We have 1, 2, silence on the second one. 1, 2, 1, 2, silence on the first one. So da, 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 da. And then we have to think about what note we're playing. So we think space, face, lines, every good boy does fine. So we have F, C, E, A. Yep, right now we just have all spaces to make this a little simpler. So the idea with read the fine print is realize that there's going to be more on the page than just this. There's actually going to be added things on the page. So for example, there could be something that tells us how soft or loud to play. It tells us our volume. And so for example, if we see F, that would mean play loud. And so that means that we'd play this loud, not very loud, but loud. And so if we see this, see a P, that means play soft. So it'll be da, 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 da. Loud, soft. But what if we saw something like this? That means to get softer. So that would actually get softer as we go. Da, 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 da. And it could go the other way. It could also tell you to get louder, but obviously it's not going to tell you to get louder from a loud dynamic to a soft, right? And so that's something you might see. You might also see something that tells you what hand to play on, especially at the beginning. And so, for example, you could have right, right, left, right. If you're playing like a rhythmic instrument, it just depends. But knowing what you're supposed to be looking at down here definitely helps. Could also have something like this that tells you to play louder, and so that could mean that you play this normal, but you play that with emphasis. You play that a little bit louder. What about this? That will tell you to play short. Da 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 da. Right, and that idea of playing that short is a completely different concept, but by reading the fine print, you're going to figure out what that means. What if you see something that says, that looks like this? Our speed is 100, and so you would have to find a metronome that tells us, okay, how fast do we need to go? And so it would say, okay, you would need to go this fast. And so therefore, you know that that is our measuring a device for understanding how fast we need to go. And you would use something called a metronome for that. There's a lot of things to keep in mind. There's also the idea of going back and repeating, which would look like this. It would have 2 little dots there. And so that means that you would go back to the beginning. All right, hopefully your brain isn't exploding. Hopefully some of this makes sense. I do not expect you to be master in any of this. This is like us going to the gym or the musical gym and picking up the light weights and, oh, okay, so this is how this movement goes. This is how this goes. This is how this goes. And so you can just go in and just go crazy. But that takes time and energy. And so the idea is riding the bike. The more you do the thing, the easier it gets. And so let's review these skills and remember that all these skills are used at the exact same time, all 5. So the first one is understanding the blank page, knowing that there are 5 lines and 4 spaces, and understanding that there's separations to make it easier for us to understand. And at the very beginning of the music, it will help us understand how to continue to read the music. Second skill is like a book, reading it from left and right, understanding rhythm that we have, different lengths that we play. We might hit something on 1 beat, we might have it last for 2, we might have it last for 4 beats long, or even longer or shorter. We might play within that beat 2 hits, TT, apple, things like that. And for number 3 is understanding pitch, of reading up and down. It's very important to realize that pitch, when you have different notes, you're reading up and down. So for treble clef, we have the spaces are the word face, the lines are every good boy does fine, and for bass clef we have all cows eat grass and good burritos don't fall apart. Skill number 4 is peanut butter and jelly, being able to create melodies by reading rhythm and melody at the same time. So you literally have to read left and right and up and down at the exact same time as you play your instrument. It's a lot, but over time it gets easier. Skill number 5 is read the fine print. You're going to realize that there are things underneath, on top, attached to the notes that are going to tell you how to play it and how to shape it in a way that's more musical. So it's very important to not take these and put them out of your mind and ignore them, because then you won't be playing the music correct to the way the composer, the creator, wanted you to play that piece of music. So there's something I actually didn't put into this that is very, very important, but at the very beginning stages, it's better to know the how to do the thing versus what the thing is. For example, if I'm going to teach you how to ride a bike, I'm not going to sit there and tell you all the parts of the bike. I'm going to say, get on, let's do this, move your feet, let's go. And so there's actually so many terms that we skipped over that you would call these different parts of music. And so these terms are very, very, very important. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to attach, I'm going to link down to a page that's just going to be each part that I've created for you. That's going to be, oh, that's what this is called. Oh, that's what this is called. Oh, that's what this is called. So what you're going to do is you're going to kind of cover up or fold the paper in half, however you need to do that, and try to memorize the names, the terms for all of these things. Because if a musician walks up to you and says, hey, don't forget to play that quarter note on measure 4, you want to know what they're talking about. Not just know how to read it, but understand it. And so I'm going to have that for you down below. And I hope you have a wonderful time continuing your journey as you develop into a strong and confident musician.